In the case of Sean Diddy Combs and this trial that we've been covering for a while, as we come to a close of our coverage of the trial, it seems like Diddy is going to still have a hefty sentence, according to some of the legal analysts that are looking at this case. And they're predicting, and some lawyers are also predicting, based on the latest events in court, that the feds may have lost the battle, but the judge may be about to make them win the war. Now, people look at me and they go, Will, how could you be on the government side? And I'm not on the government side in this case, in any case. But I understand that the federal government has a job to do, and I understand that criminals have a job to do. And people go, they say that to me because of my background, saying, bro, you've been through the system before, you understand. I was 18, 19 going through that. I was an idiot. I was a kid. Diddy's an idiot. He's in jail for being an idiot. I was in jail for being an idiot as well. Just want to address that. Also, I didn't have no crimes against women and children. That's a big difference too. In California, we have something called politics in that life. And in those politics, what's off limits? Women, children, elders. You do a crime against those, you might die when you go to jail. You definitely getting beat up. You definitely getting stabbed. And you likely will lose your life. Big distinction. Also, Diddy's in jail at 55 years old. He's not a child. Here's one thing I hate about hip-hop culture. Hip-hop culture never allows the general public to look at the people in the culture as they're too old for this. And I think that that's a huge problem. Like when you look at certain people, you forget that this is a 40-year-old man. This is a 55-year-old man. This is a 70-year-old man. Like you forget that sometimes when you look at hip-hop celebrities. So I look at this case from, this is a grown man, 55-year-old man that was accused of doing these things as recently as last year after he knew he was under investigation. And I'm going to show you guys what the judge said in a second. We're going to get into what some of these lawyers said. OJ's lawyer has responded to the upcoming sentencing of Diddy. And we're going to get into that. His mom has responded. Diddy's mom has responded. And she says she's feeling nervous. She's not celebrating because they're not out of the weeds yet. The inmates in jail are celebrating. And we're going to talk about that too. And we're going to see some of the different things in this live stream. Maybe these are the reasons why the judge is looking at giving Diddy a long sentence, according to the legal analysts that are covering this case. So we start every live stream the same way. It's a subscriber-only chat. If you're not a subscriber, you're not going to be able to be in the comment section. Make sure that you keep it respectful in the comment section, or my moderator is going to ban you. You're going to be banned. Also, we start every live stream with a prayer, so we're going to start that way today. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you humbly, God, thanking you for another day, all the blessings that we have, all the gifts that we open that we don't acknowledge. God, I ask that you just give us a moment, God, of grace for all those things that, we don't think about, God. We want to take the time right now to thank you for them. And I ask that you bless everybody that's listening and watching under the sound of my voice. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, man. Some people look at politics. Some people look at these entertainment news stories. Some people look at entertainment in general as like, this is not a real life thing, like almost like it's a movie. And these are not real people involved. These are just like characters in the movie. And some people look at it also like it's a sports debate. They look at everything like it's ESPN First Take. And you have to pick a side. No, some of us can objectively look at situations and just say, hey, this is wrong. Or no, that's right. Right. And when I look at these things, I just read the articles. I go through it and I'll make my determination based on that. And I tell you guys, make your own determination based on it. But these are not characters in the movie. These are real people that are involved. So most people that are looking at what just happened, the latest events of the court, which was Diddy being sent back to jail and his sentencing being scheduled, which is looking like it's going to be October. Most people looked at that like, wait a minute, Diddy just put up another $1 million bail and was denied, right? So that was the latest that was the last that we heard after Diddy was convicted of the 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. And he was cleared on the more serious charges. And I said when it was going on that we got to be a little bit more patient when you look at it, because you don't know what the judge is going to do. And people think because their cousin went to jail at some point in their life, or because, you know, you went to jail in 1993, that you understand what the judge has to do. And I understand, and a lot of us understand, based on the law, judges don't have to do anything. They do what they want to do. Some people were saying, oh, the judge has to run it concurrent, has to run. Yeah, he's facing 10 years per count, but the judge has to run those 10 years concurrent. That's not the case. All it takes is a quick search. If you go search, do federal judges have to run sentences concurrent? The answer that you're going to get is no, a judge is not required to impose concurrent sentences. The judge has discretion to order concurrent sentences or consecutive sentences. It's up to them. So they can say, no, we want to run these 2 back to back. You facing 10 years on each. We can give you 10 on this one, 7 on that one. Some people would say, well, you know, maybe he doesn't have to run it concurrent, but he has to face sentencing guidelines. And the sentencing guidelines say that he only can give Diddy this much time. Well, that's not the case either. The law states that a federal judge can give any sentence that he pleases. The guidelines are just recommendations. And he can give up to the maximum based on the circumstances of the case, which it seems like the lawyers and the legal analysts that are covering the Diddy trial are saying that they feel like the judge is going to give Diddy a hefty sentence. In this article from Yahoo, it says the judge may agree with the prosecution's guidelines for sentencing. Now, a legal analyst broke this down, and this person is actually a former federal prosecutor, and she warned that despite the reduced severity of the charges, Diddy's judge may still, quote, throw the book at the rapper during the sentencing. According to this former prosecutor, they said that when the judge referred to Diddy's propensity for violence and denied his request for $1 million bail after being acquitted of the most serious charges, that this may still be a possibility. The maximum sentence may still be a possibility, saying that this is a quote from the prosecutor. The judge is saying that he thinks Diddy poses a danger to society. This was reported by the Daily Mail. She added, in the bond hearing, both sides did a guidelines calculation, and the government was higher, meaning that the government suggested to the judge that they were going to give Diddy more time, that they should give Diddy more time. And the former prosecutor said, I think the judge is probably signaling that he's going to be receptive to some of the additions to the guideline ranges. And when the guideline ranges go up, the sentence usually goes up. Now, Diddy's lawyers argued that he should only get 2 years. I'm going to let you guys argue in the chat how much time you think he should get. And we got a poll in the chat. I see so far 63% of people saying he should get the max, 24% of people saying 5 to 10 years. I'll let you guys decide what you guys think, and you guys let me know in the chat what you guys think about it. It's all judges' discretion. This is why being on a judge's good side is so important, right? Because when it comes to these cases, and these are things that legally, it's not like it's a special thing for Diddy. This started in 2005 when judges started to be able to use discretion instead of sentencing guidelines. It was the United States versus Booker. And in this case, under the federal sentencing, under the federal sentencing guidelines, Booker had a drug case and he was sentenced, or his guidelines was 210 to 262 months in prison. And after the sentencing hearing, the judge found additional facts by preponderance of evidence, meaning a lot of evidence, overwhelming evidence. And because of these additional facts, he was sentenced to 30 years instead of 21 years and 10 months. And then this went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court determined that the judges have discretion based on the facts of the case because they were in the case and whatever their reasoning was. So because of that, obviously, it's not going to go to Supreme Court twice. There's a precedent that's been set. So now judges have discretion. Now, Diddy's mom refused to celebrate prematurely following the verdict. And she said that she wasn't going to celebrate like everybody else cheering and laughing and smiling. And according to the reports, Diddy's mother, Janice, reportedly did not rush to celebrate the mixed verdict in the way that the other family members did. It said Janice Combs had much more of a subdued reaction than the rest of the Combs family after the jury cleared her son of the most serious charges in the trafficking trial. Now, those charges could have sent them to prison for life, the article says. But according to the Daily Mail, who spoke with Janice following the verdict, she was not in a celebratory mood. He avoided the worst charges, but he still faces 2 lesser prostitution-related convictions, and those carry up to 20 years behind bars. While Diddy and his children were reportedly overjoyed by the outcome, Diddy's mom, Janice, remained calm. When asked how she felt about the verdict, she told reporters, "It hasn't been easy, and it's not over yet. We're not making any plans because it's too soon." So the Daily Mail reported that she only showed a hint of relief while embracing her sister. So she doesn't feel like it's time to celebrate. She says it's not over. And that's a mother's discernment, right? Because she go, yeah, but he's still in jail. And at the end of the day, he still has to be sentenced. So there's something to that. And I think that she's just discerning that something's not right. Yeah, he got cleared of those things, but these other things, what about those? Now, I want to show you guys, I want to remind you guys what the judge said. And I think that the judge has been pretty consistent in his stance. And the thing that he said months ago is the exact same thing that he's saying now in court, which is Diddy is violent, and he's concerned about that. Like when we go back to the last time before this time, when the trial was going on, and the judge, Diddy offered $50 million for the judge to get him out of jail on a bail package. The judge denied that back then. This was last November, right? And this is the quote. And I want you guys to compare and contrast these quotes from the judge from back then to what the judge is saying currently. It says the court finds that the government has shown by clear and convincing evidence that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of the community. That was a quote from the judge. So they said $50 million, him being on house arrest, nothing, him going home at all. He's a danger to the community. This is last November he said that, right? This is when the trial was about to start, right before the trial started. And Diddy offered a lot. Like he offered to turn in his jet. He offered $50 million. Like he offered a lot. And the judge was like, no. Some people would say, oh, maybe the jury was tainted. Even if they were, which we don't have no evidence of, it seems like the judge has a very clear stance on how he feels about Diddy. And I'm going to show you guys some of the things that he said when he went off in court at the most recent day. But I want you guys to remember this quote, right? So he said that there was no condition or combination of conditions that could reasonably assure the safety of the community. That's what the judge said prior. And then he continued and said that Diddy's freedom, he said Combs' freedom would represent a serious risk of witness tampering. So the judge, right there, the judge is saying, I'm concerned about the witnesses. I'm concerned about people in society. And if he's going to be able to touch those people, essentially. Right? Then the judge went on and said, the article says that along with the gruesome acts which he stands accused of, the cache of weapons obtained from his residence and alleged violence and threats of violence undertaken by him and his enterprise when under threat, all adds up to compelling evidence of Combs' propensity for violence and risk for witness tampering. That's a letter that the judge wrote. So those everything I just said are the judge's words. Compelling evidence of Combs' propensity for violence and risk for witness tampering. So the judge is considering everything that Diddy has been accused of, regardless of what he's been convicted of. Right? And it says in court, the prosecutors claimed that the defendant's goal was to blackmail victims and witnesses either into silence or providing testimony helpful to him. Now, at that time, Diddy's team proposed a $50 million bail package, strict release conditions, and the judge still said no. Right? Now, I want you guys to remember, right, just take an inventory real quick of what I just read to you from the judge's letter. And then let's go to the latest updates on what happened most recently in court. Most recently in court, Diddy's lawyers came to the judge and said, because he's been found not guilty on the more serious charges, we believe that he should walk out of court today during when that happened, right? And the judge said, the judge somewhat scoffed, according to reports, at Diddy's lawyers and said, so what, I'm supposed to let him walk out of this courtroom right now? And it took Diddy's lawyers back and they were like, yes, Your Honor. What the judge, I think his direct quote was, are you suggesting that I allow him to just walk out the front door? And Diddy's lawyers responded and said, yes, Your Honor, that's what we're suggesting. And the judge said, okay, go, prosecutor, defense attorneys, Diddy's lawyers, go write letters, bring them back to me and let me know. Right? Let me know why y'all think I should let either side have. Why should I send them back to jail? Why should I let them walk out? They brought letters back. And according to the reports, letters from other people started pouring in as well within 2 hours, begging the judge to keep Diddy in jail. That's significant, and I'll get back to that in a second. So when they came back, this is what the judge said. The judge said that he denied the bail for Diddy when it wasn't mandatory before the trial, and he, quote, sees no reason to reach the opposite conclusion now. In other words, I feel the same way about you back then that I do right now, and I'm not sending you home if I can help it. That's telling and very significant. When people were reporting, there were some reports, some premature reports going around saying Diddy's going to walk out the courtroom today at 3 p.m. Never happened. But his reasoning for it and the way the judge presented it had a vitriol behind it that it shows that he has a real issue with Diddy. He don't like Diddy. So the judge went on and began quoting Diddy's lawyers at different instances, mocking them almost, when Diddy's lawyers acknowledged his violence towards former girlfriends. This is a quote from the judge. The judge said, at trial, the defense conceded that Diddy's violence in his personal conceded to Diddy's violence in his personal relationships, saying, quote, it happened in relation to Cassie Ventura and Jane. The judge said there was also violence and illegal conduct after the searches on Combs' homes when he was aware that he was under investigation. The judge said, as a quote, this highlights a disregard for the rule of law and a propensity of violence. That quote right there, one, to mock Diddy's lawyers and say, you said that you conceded that the violence was happening. You said that he stomped out the Jane in the back of the Cadillac Escalade. And you said that you had no problem with that. You said that he had a violence to Cassie and that at times it was violent and he was a violent person and that you guys weren't defending that. You said that he did this to this person and that to that person and beat up this person. And you said that. So why should I give him bail now? He's still a violent person, according to you, is what the judge said to Diddy's lawyers. He said, and then I think another telling part that he didn't have to say, but he still did say, was there was a lot of violence and illegal conduct after the searches and the raids on his home when he was aware he was under investigation. In other words, you don't give a crap about the law. You don't care if we looking at you or not. You still gonna be doing crime on your way to trial. That wasn't even a year ago, the judge is saying. And then that's why he says this highlights a disregard for the rule of law and propensity of violence. I'm not letting you go home. You're a criminal, bro. Now, the judge proposed sentencing on October 3rd, which is a long stretch. You get, you get your verdict in July, and then you're like, dang, I gotta go sit until October to find out how much time I'm getting. I don't know who's been locked up out there or been around anybody locked up. We can say this, right? Just from if you have been or if you know how the system works. Name a time that somebody has ever gotten $1 million bail denied. Or in state cases, when somebody gets $1 million bail, when they say like, yo, it's $1 million for you to come home, that's typically a bad sign. When I was young, I used to get locked up. And I was locked up with people that had $1 million bails. And they typically sat in that county for 3-4 years. Because the judge and the court knew that they was going to get a lot of time. So there was no rush. Anytime that the court is not rushing to get you out, you probably going to sit for a while. Going into jail is slow. Coming out of jail is slow. Right? So it's always telling when somebody puts up $1 million, say, hey, we got $1 million, and the judge denies it. That is a sign. Right? So the judge didn't stop there. He went on. You would think that he said enough just by denying it. But the judge went on, which shows that there was some emotion behind this, in my opinion. He didn't just stop at, Diddy has a propensity of violence. He was still committing crimes while he was under investigation, and he knew it. He continued to go on and just chastise Diddy and Diddy's lawyers. So the judge addressed Diddy's lead defense attorney directly and said this as a quote, "You full-throatedly," this is his quote, "you full-throatedly in your closing argument told the jury that there was violence here, and domestic violence is violence. And you said that this case did involve violence." And so he put Diddy's lawyers on his heel, and Diddy's lawyers responded that there's only been one evidence of violence since 2018, which is the June 2024 altercation with Jane, which is where Diddy stomped her out in the back of the Escalade, allegedly, or according to his lawyers. So his lawyers are like, Diddy's lawyers are like, yeah, he was violent, but he only stomped out a woman one time last June. Well, he's been in jail since last September. So it's like, bro, one time that he was very clear. Diddy's lawyers was very specific in his wording. He said there's only been one evidence of the incident since 2018, and that was last June. Because Diddy's lawyers, their stance was, yo, we're not going to say that he don't beat women. We're just going to say, he didn't do the trafficking, which is cool. Fine. That's a defense. But you conceded that he does beat women. And now the judge has to look at that. And like the judge said, domestic violence is violence. And so Diddy's lawyers like, well, it was only one incident that you could prove, Your Honor, since last June. And, Diddy's lawyer said, as a quote, he said he's a man in process of working on himself. So those statements from the judge, and obviously at that time, Diddy felt like the judge is about to, he's throwing the book at me. So Diddy kind of had a little bit of an outburst and said, I told his lawyer, I want to speak to the judge directly myself. And so the defense attorney, told the judge, Mr. Combs wants to talk to you. And the judge was like, get out of here. And so he was like, okay, I'll see what he wants to say. And then the prosecutors, being the instigators that prosecutors typically are, when they see that the judge is a little bit on their side, they start instigating. And the prosecutor said, yes, he's an extremely violent man with an extraordinarily dangerous temper who has shown no remorse and no regret for his multiple victims. So the prosecutors just be like the sibling that when you're about to get a whooping, they run and go get the belt. Mom, you want me to go get the belt? Like, bro, like chill out. But, that's what prosecutors do. So at that point, the judge denied the bail and set his hearing for October, right? For sentencing. Now, this is a picture of Diddy when the judge denied his bail that the public didn't see. They said his mouth open and his eyes widened. So he started panicking because Diddy realized, like, this is not good. That's a sketch of what Diddy looked like when the judge denied his bail. So obviously he was probably expecting, he started counting the baby oil bottles before he got home, and he expected that he was going to walk out them doors today or that day. And when the judge denied it, they said that this is what his face was. His eyes widened, his mouth dropped. Now, all those things being the case, the judge had got letters. Like I told you guys, the judge set the because the bail hearing was set the same day of his verdict. And 2 hours after, the judge took like a little 2-hour break, probably went to his office, ate his little pizza, his little slice of pizza. In New York, they call it a pie. He probably ate his little, lunch and was like, all right, I already know what I'm going to do. But in that 2-hour period, he started getting letters from Cassie's lawyers. He got letters from the prosecution. He got letters from Diddy's chef, even. I think Dawn Richards' lawyer, former artist of Diddy, she sent the letter in to the judge all in 2 hours. And all these people are saying similar things, which is, I'm scared for my life. And please don't let him out of jail because I think I'm going to die if you let him out of jail. And I want to read you guys what his former chef said. Diddy's former chef claims she fears being murdered for accusing him of abuse. Jordan Atkinson wrote a letter to Diddy's trial judge asking that he deny Sean Combs' bond after the jury's verdict. Right? And this is an example of what the judge is going to be dealing with up until sentencing, too, by the way. So it said Combs' former personal chef, Jordan Atkinson, is among those many expressing fear for their lives and safety due to the possibility of his release. While the judge denied his bond package proposal, Diddy's sentence is still up in the air. You know, so these people are sending in letters just hoping that the judge keeps Diddy in jail. What do you think that the judge is going to be getting the entire time? Right? The entire time that Diddy is waiting until sentencing. And the judge is probably like, bro, this is a long case. It was exhausting. I've had to watch a lot of nonsense. I've had to listen to a lot of arguments. It's been a long year. But it seems like all signs are pointing to this judge do not like Diddy, and he's not excited to send him home. Because if he was, he probably would have put him like, all right, this is not enough for a bail package, but this is because the judge also could have just set some conditions that he felt like these are good conditions to let Diddy go home. You know what? I'm not going to take $1 million, but put up $5 million and give his passport up, turn in the jet, and he has to stay on house arrest, and then he can go home. The judge said he still sat and said there's no conditions that are going to allow me to let you go home. None. And I think that that's very telling. And I think that that's what the shocking thing for Diddy was, because I don't think he was expecting to still be sitting in jail today. Now, I do want to show you guys what OJ's lawyer, who spoke on the situation, what he had to say about this, because he did have a take on this. And according to the report, it says Diddy could face substantial prison time after the guilty verdict, warns O.J. Simpson's lawyer, right? So he spoke on this situation. And the article says speculation on how much time the rapper will spend in the slammer circulated after Diddy beat the RICO charge that would have gave him a life sentence. Robert Shapiro, the first member and initial chair of O.J. Simpson's defense team, gave grim predictions regarding Diddy's potential sentence. After being found guilty on the 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, Diddy's judge proposed sentencing to take place October 3rd. He said, Robert Shapiro said, I have to look into a crystal ball, and this is going to be a call that only one person is going to make. In other words, the judge is going to make the call, nobody else. Said many times we will rely on a probation report or a pre-sentencing report where they calculate guidelines, right? According to Shapiro, judges will typically follow those guidelines, and the former defense attorney estimated the range in Diddy's case would have likely come out to 2.5 to 3.5 years. So under a typical circumstance, Robert Shapiro, OJ's lawyer, says that Diddy would have been probably sentenced under 2.5 to 3.5 years, right? Which would give him, he would have to do like maybe another year in jail. People say, oh, that will give him time served. No, time served in the States and time served in the feds is two different things. In the States, it's 50%. So if I get sentenced to 2 years and I served a year in jail already, then I'm going home. But in the feds, it's 85%. So he would still have a little bit more time if he was sentenced to 2 years today. Said whether or not he had a criminal history, I don't know. This is OJ's lawyer speaking, Robert Shapiro. Said that could raise it. But having said that, and having seen that this judge did not release him on bail, I think a message may be coming that you're going to be spending a lot more time, so no reason to let you come out and come back in. That's exactly what I just said. That's exactly what I believe, just understanding a little bit about the system from my experience and from the experience of my family members and people around me. You know, I kind of grew up with everybody I grew up with has been through the system. Everybody. Literally. I think there's 2 men in my family that haven't been. So, which is by the grace of God that a lot of us are here. But I come from that environment. And then obviously all my friends and everybody around me and growing up, that was like a common thing. And typically, when the judge sets your sentencing back that far, most people would feel like the judge don't care because they ain't tripping because they know they about to give me a lot of time. Shapiro pointed out that the judge brought up the 2016 surveillance video showing Diddy attacking Cassie when denying the rapper's bail application. He said, quote, "If the judge looks at that tape in his mind and is reminded about it again, I think there's a real chance that a substantial sentence will be forthcoming." You guys remember when OJ stole them shoes and he still got 33 years? And it was like, it didn't make sense. It was like, wait, what? He got 30 years for stealing shoes? His shoes? It was because they looked, the court was like, bro, we got discretion. We got you. We're going to give you the time that you should have got. That's how they felt probably. So judges have discretions. They choose what they want to give. And that's why Robert Shapiro here is saying that all this is going to come down to whatever the judge decides. He said it's on one person, which is the judge. And I think that has already been decided personally. You guys, y'all looking at the same information as me. What do you guys think? To me, it seems like so far the judge has decided what he's going to do. He's going to give him some time. Said Diddy could spend a maximum of 20 years behind bars, 10 years for each count he's convicted of. However, the prosecution suggested the rapper be kept behind bars for a minimum of 4 to 5 years. So, let's see. This is it seems like another celebrity attorney noted. Another celebrity attorney, David Chesnoff, noted that while the circumstances of Diddy case would generally lead to a low sentence, the judge can actually do a variance. The criminal defense attorney explained the sentencing guidelines don't take into account other factors the judge is allowed to consider. So this other lawyer who's breaking it down saying that, just because this is what it says on the paper, though it doesn't account for the things that the judge is allowed to do. The attorney said the guidelines in this case, based on what he got convicted of and the lack of criminal history, will lead you to think that it could be a rather low sentence, right? And this is an attorney for Paris Hilton and Bruno Mars. And he said, and considering the amount of time he's been in, he'd be out quickly. But on the other hand, the judge is allowed to do what's called a variance, when the guidelines don't take into account factors that the judge is allowed to consider, right? So he said, I got the sense from this judge that he feels Diddy is deserving of punishment. Otherwise, he wouldn't have kept him in. He would not have kept him in. He said, it's hard to speculate. The maximum sentence is 10 and 10. That's very unlikely. But do I think that he'll get somewhere above what the defense wants and lower than what the government wants? I think he'll split the baby. So this lawyer is saying that Diddy's going to do some type of time and that the judge pretty much hates him. And if he's considering things that he's allowed to consider, factors outside of the sentencing guidelines, then he's going to give time. I think personally, and you guys know I've been covering it and I've been reading all the articles and walking through this entire case with you guys, just trying to see what's going to happen. I think that all signs are pointing to the judge don't like Diddy. And he's giving them no latitude this whole time. You guys remember he was saying, hey, if you don't stop doing this, I'm going to take you out of the court. You're going to watch this court from your cell or this trial from your cell. Everything that the judge has shown that he does not like Diddy and that Diddy is not on his good side. So that being the case, and Diddy's reaction to the bail being denied, which means that his lawyers, when we see a reaction like this, that means that your lawyers told you that it was likely you were going to go home and you started counting them chickens, started counting the baby oil bottles before you got to the freak off. You know what I'm saying? So, we'll see how that plays out for him. Now, I'm reading that, the prosecution, the feds, they argued a minimum of 51 to 63 months, which is roughly 4 to 5 years in prison minimum. It says prosecutors previously said that their preliminary calculations indicate Combs should get at least 51 to 63 months at a minimum. And then Diddy's lawyers ranged from 21 to 27 months. And it says that it's hard to gauge because the article says it's hard to gauge. This is an article from CBS that says it's hard to gauge because federal judges have a lot of discretion when it comes to sentencing. Now, he's going to get credit for the time served, but they said it's absolutely not outside of the realm of possibility that there will be a significant amount of prison time. But this legal analyst said, I don't think we'll see double-digit years in prison. I don't know. I think it's going to be somewhere around 5 to 7. Personally, I think it's going to be somewhere around 5 to 7. I know people are saying, oh, 2, y'all was wrong before, y'all be wrong again. We all been wrong, but I don't think it's going to be 2 years. I think if it was going to be 2 years, the judge would have let him, come home and wait for that sentence from the House. 2 years, so I don't know. But I think that the overall, when we look at this case, man, I think it's arrogance on top of arrogance. That's all I see when I see this. And I'm curious to know how the judge is going to respond to this, because a lot of this stuff that's going around, even in the time period that he's going to spend waiting to decide what Diddy gets, I think that the judge is going to sit back, look, he's going to receive probably dozens, if not hundreds of letters from people. And he's going to read them. He's going to consider them. I think he's going to consider things like the celebrations outside the courthouse and in the courtroom when Diddy was convicted on the less serious charges. I think he's going to sit back and look. You got to think the judges are still people. They still have feelings, emotions, attitudes. They get annoyed. You don't know if this judge has daughters. You don't know if this judge's mom was somebody that was a victim of domestic violence and that he just worked his life to become a judge to save his mom. You don't know if the judge hates celebrities. You don't know if a celebrity slept with his girlfriend back in the day at a concert. You don't know if the judge is racist. We don't know. I don't think he seemed like an Indian dude, or I think he was an Indian dude. So it's not like it's a white judge. But that don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? You don't know. It's all up to a judge's discretion. That's why I think that the biggest thing that hurts Diddy right now is the lack of remorse and the arrogance that his lawyers presented the case with. Of, we're not arguing he's violent. We don't care if he beats women. Yeah, he beats women. Okay. He shouldn't be in jail for it. Like, the arrogance of it is the part that, I think that's what's going to hurt him. And then when the judge is sitting at home and he's looking at cases like this, or he's looking at articles like this, Diddy welcomed back to the federal custody with standing ovation from inmates after verdict. Right? Said Sean Diddy Combs' verdict went viral last week with rounds of applause in the streets of New York City and at the Mogul's detainment center. Nobody, let me say this, man, before I even read this. Nobody is more arrogant than a judge on some level, because they have ultimate power. A lot of times them judges be like, bro, you think you in power? I'm gonna show you that you're not. Just because. That's why it's in court, even a lawyer, all people just be super humble in court, because the judge has a lot of power. And the minute that you try to start acting like you got more power than the judge is the minute that they're gonna humble you. And that's just my experience with judges in different courtrooms. And you guys probably understand that too. If you've been to court for a traffic ticket, you understand that you better be very humble in front of the judge. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what these people be going through behind closed doors. I know it sounds like the judges should do this and they should do that, but they're human beings. They're not God. They're not always fair. You know what I'm saying? Said multiple sources over the weekend reported that Diddy received standing ovations from inmates upon returning to his detainment following his guilty count of 2 of 5 counts. Diddy's attorneys confirmed that the standing ovations happened during a press conference. Diddy's attorney, who talks too much, in my opinion, I think he's kind of a foolish guy. He's an arrogant dude. And even if you Even if a fool stays silent, he's counted as wise. Sometimes you just got to be quiet. Even if you a fool, even if you an idiot, like just be quiet and people will think that you're wise. You know what I'm saying? And I think that Diddy's lawyer talks too much. Why are you in the press when he still hasn't been sentenced yet? Because you're just trying to boost your rate. Man, I'd beat the feds. You ain't beat you, bro. You got him. He's still guilty on 2 counts. You beat a RICO, but Diddy didn't have ultimate confidence in you because he had to call in Brian Steele and all these other lawyers. He had 4 law firms, according to the reports, working for him. So it's not like you beat the feds, bro. Diddy's lawyer is too arrogant. Anyways, Diddy's attorney described the moment as powerful for black men behind bars. Man, I hate that. I hate this racial narrative that they're trying to push. Diddy is not in jail for being a black man. Let's be clear. There are black men that are in jail, and obviously we know how it goes. We know all the terminologies, and we know all the things that happen with the system. Diddy is not part of that. I'll just be fair. I have to be fair to the people that are really victims of the system. Diddy was out there doing wild stuff. He was a billionaire doing wild stuff that he wasn't supposed to be doing with his blessings. This ain't the same as the homie down the street that, you know, he got picked up, or the Central Park 5, that they were just black in the wrong place. It's not the same. And I'm not going to allow that narrative to be drawn that they keep trying to draw, you know, to give him some sympathy. That's a PR play, man. Don't fall for that. That's to make Diddy have a team behind him, so it feels like black people should feel guilty for not supporting foolishness when we see foolishness. I ain't going for it. So Diddy's attorney said, we never get to see anyone beat the government. Or I guess that's what the inmates told Diddy. So Diddy remains jailed at the Brooklyn Federal Facility. And he's been there for 10 months so far. So I think that the judge is going to look at these things. I think the judge is going to look at these things and say, oh, y'all cheering for him? Cool. Just based on the statements that we're reading and based on everything else that's going on around this case. Now, I want to say what I think. I want to make a prediction. I'm going to make a prediction. You guys let me know. And then we'll get to the chat and we'll talk about this, man. Here's a prediction that I'm going to make. You know what I think Diddy is going to do? I think he will he's coming home at some point. He's 55 right now, 54, something like that. He'll be home probably by the time he's 60, 61. I don't think he'll be in there past the age of 60 years old. I think, you know what the play is going to be? And y'all come back to this live stream in that time, or we'll bring it back up when it happens. Sometime while he's incarcerated or after he comes home, when it's time to put on the PR, whatever that time period is, he's going to become a born-again Christian. And that's going to be the PR stunt. Because right now, how does he come home and go back into the industry that he was working in? He's red hot right now. Nobody that he was learning these things from, these freak off tag, and we know he's not the only one in the industry doing this stuff. He the one that got caught. It's like when everybody driving fast on the freeway and the police pull and you start driving fast, the police pull you over and you go, I'm going to flow of traffic. And the police like, yeah, but I caught you. Same situation with Diddy. He's not the only one doing this stuff, but he's the one that got caught. And I promise you, the PR stunt is going to be, I'm a father, I'm a born-again Christian. And I'm not saying that it's impossible for him to repent and come back to Christ. And I'm not saying that, you know, just automatically him just saying that he did. I'm just saying, pay attention to the fruits. Jesus said, by the fruits, you'll know them. You know them by their fruits. You know what I'm saying? And everything that he's done and everything that he's shown has seemed to be a PR stunt so far. But I think that that's what the play going to be. Because how do you go back into the industry and get accepted without the public? Because regardless of the guilty or not guilty verdicts or the sentencing, the public views Diddy a certain way right now. You know what I'm saying? The public views him a certain way. So you're not just going to come back around and do what you want to do And in the public, you're not going to throw a party and in the public be not look at it like, what's going on over there? The feds is going to be watching you for the rest of your life because they a little salty because Diddy didn't win so much as the feds lost. And so we're going to see what happens with that. You know? And we're going to see how salty they are and if they continue to harass him for the rest of his life. But they're going to be watching him. And he's aware that they're going to be watching him. The people that used to work for him ain't going to want to work for him no more. Promise you that. I don't care who it is. He's going to be like, bro, I can't work with this dude. Or if they do work with him, hey, I want to be kept very anonymous. Money talks, but it's going to be very anonymous. And it's going to be very hard for him to move around the way he used to. He's looked at differently. You ain't going outside the way you went outside before. And then the support from guys like Jay-Z or, some of these top executives, you're not going to have that kind of support because you put heat on them. Like you put heat on Macy's, bro. Macy's is looking at it like they facing lawsuits because of what you did or what he was accused of doing in their flagship store. So it's a lot of stuff around it that he's going to have a significant PR stunt in order to get back in the good graces of some of the public. Now, he's aware that everybody is just not going to fall for it. My mama used to say you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Some people you can fool, and they cool with it. And it's like the people outside the courthouse squirting baby oil on them and laughing and all that foolishness. Some people don't have a moral compass. They don't have a sense of God or a sense of right and wrong. They don't care about that. So those people are always going to support foolishness like this. Some people worship their skin color and they feel like if you black, that's all that matters. And they're going to support Diddy as well. They've made an idol and a god out of their skin color. So they're going to do that for Diddy as well. There's going to be people that support him. But he needs something that people without mental health issues are willing to come back and support him. And I think that PR stunt is going to be, I'm a born again Christian. I came back to God. TD Jakes prayed for me, y'all. I was sitting in my cell and y'all remember when before he went to jail, the PR stunts of the videos was, man, I was messed up back then when I was beating up Cassie. I was effed up, y'all. I take accountability. And then in June, you beat up Jane. It's like, bro, it wasn't back then. You still doing this stuff. So it's all PR based. He's a master, brilliant marketer. I don't think that there's many more marketing minds that are more brilliant than Diddy. I really don't. When it comes to that. Business-wise, we know Diddy get to the money. You can't take that from him. He a hustler. But we're going to see what the PR stunt is right after that. You know what I'm saying? And the reason I say, obviously all races do certain things, but Diddy's black. So I'm going to speak as a black man talking about, what we do in our community. So we'll see how that plays out, man. I think that the ultimate lesson in this is, and maybe we'll start our community hour like this. Now I'm going to have to go through the chat. In our community hour, we talk about these entertainment news topics from the entrepreneur perspective, and we try to learn a lesson that we could take in our life and not just something that's just entertaining and this is what's going on. So we'll do it real briefly today. And I'll read the live chat and see what you guys are saying in the chat. So start dropping your comments. Let me know what y'all think. I think that overall, this situation is a mismanagement of purpose, a mismanagement of blessings. And sometimes, especially at that level, when you get blessed with so much, I think that it's very key to stay focused on the people that God blessed you to serve, whether that's employees. Diddy had probably hundreds of employees. He could have been, you could have been blessing those people instead of making them do crime, or allegedly sending them to get, according to their testimonies, cover up crimes and bribes and all this different stuff, man. And I think there are people that he's blessed throughout his life. And I think that sometimes we just lose sight of what God gave us the blessings for. But Galatians 6:7 says, do not be deceived. God will not be mocked. So in other words, don't think that because God blessed you with it, that you're going to do what you want with it. And God is cool with that. God ain't mocked. He don't bless you so you can stand over people and bully them. He don't bless you so you can stand over people and make them feel less significant. I just think that this entire situation is a mismanagement of blessing. Somebody in the chat said, you can't antagonize the courts and think that the judge and prosecution is going to play in your favor. I agree. But see, it's not just antagonizing the courts, man. You literally in there mocking. I don't know, man. I just seen it like a mockery of God when I seen it. Because, bro, you in there praying and I get it. You should pray, but pray before you get in trouble. Pray when you got everything going right. God, help me manage this right. Don't pray, hey, God, if you just get me out of this. Nah, man. You know, Bible say you turn your face from God, God turn his face from you. What's the scripture, y'all, that it be saying that God is going to laugh at your calamity? It said God laughs at the wicked. Psalms 31 or Psalms 37 and 13. The Lord laughs at the wicked, for he knows their day is coming. This is actually a crazy. I'm gonna read this to you guys. This is actually a significant verse. This is Psalms chapter 37. Psalm chapter 37, verse 13 through 22. Listen to this. This is actually applicable. Listen to this. It says, but the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he knows their day is coming. The wicked draw the sword and bend the bow to bring down the poor and the needy, to slay those whose ways are upright. But their swords will pierce their own hearts, and their bows will be broken. Better the little that the righteous have than the wealth of many wicked. For the power of the wicked will be broken, but the Lord upholds the righteous. The blameless spend their days under the Lord's care, and their inheritance will endure forever. In times of disaster, they'll not wither. In days of famine, they will enjoy plenty, but the wicked will perish. Though the Lord's enemies, are like the flowers of the field, they will be consumed, they will go in smoke. Said the Lord's enemies are like the flowers of the field. That means there's a lot of them out there. But they will be consumed and they'll go up in smoke. The wicked borrow and do not repay, but the righteous give generously. To the Lord, those the Lord blesses will inherit land, but those he curses will be destroyed. I think that it's just significant just to look at this situation and go, man, y'all laughing too early. I agree with Diddy's mom when she said, you know, hey, it's not over yet. Be careful, man. Be careful. Mismanaging purpose. See, the gift of God is to find your purpose. And this is not a Bible study, but man, I just can't help it. It come to mind. You feel me? The scriptures come to mind. But in the book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon was just talking about what's the point of being rich. This is obviously one of the wisest, richest kings, the wisest and one of the richest kings that ever lived. And he was talking about like, what's the purpose of being rich? And when you read that book, it's so interesting because everything he said was just like, the point of it is not to get things and stuff. He used himself as an example. He said, I built all these kingdoms. I built playgrounds. I built this. I built parks for people. And I hired this many people. I had slaves. I had people working for me day and night. He said, and in the end, I found that the gift of God is to find purpose for the work that you do and find joy in your toil. That means I got to, the whole purpose of working is enjoying the thing that you do and doing it because you enjoy it. That's it. And serving people. And I think that we lose sight of that a lot of times, man. I think we lose sight of that. So you guys go watch the replay. If you missed what all the information was, said God is no respecter of persons. That's the scripture. God don't care who you are. You know, my grandma used to say, what don't come out in the wash, come out in the rinse. It's going to come out though. So be aware of that, man. We're doing a private live event. All my people, if you don't know what your purpose is and you need to find your purpose and you want to turn it into an additional income or a business, we developed a company, which you guys see scrolling right here at the bottom of the screen, ulgnd.com, ulegend.com, where we do it from stuck to seven figures private live event. And I want you guys to go watch that. It's free, no cost to you. And we teach you the 4 steps to find your purpose, turn it into profit. Go over there, check it out. I promise you, it's changed lives. It's going to change your life. And we teach you how to go from where you are to where you want to be and get unstuck from the level that you're at. For all my people out there that's looking, all my professionals that are looking to increase their awareness and get to the next level, find their purpose. Because look, man, when you find your purpose, you got to manage it. But a lot of us ain't even blessed to find our purpose in life. And I teach 4 steps, and I'm writing my second book. My second book is getting ready to come out, actually, on how to find those 4 steps. I call it the 4 pillars of purpose. But I want you guys to go check out that free live event at the website, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, ulgnd.com, ulegend.com. From stuck to 7 figures, man. Don't mismanage your anointing. Don't mismanage the blessings that God has given you. When we look at this situation, with whether it's Diddy or whether it's anybody else outside looking in, make sure that the lesson that you take from it is, I got to make sure whatever God blessed me with, I got to manage it properly. Even if it's not, it don't have to be billions of dollars or millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. It could be what you got right now. What do you got right now? Are you managing that? The relationships that you have right now, are you managing that? The people in your life, are you managing that? The love that people give you now, like, are you managing that? Because Jesus Christ said when he was teaching one of his parables that the person that can be trusted with little can also be trusted with much. Make sure that you can be trusted by God with the little bit that he gave you. Because as we know in the parables that he taught, you know, God is a God of multiplication. So he wants you to multiply whatever you get, he gave you. Do everything that you can with what you have. Don't overlook the little blessings. The ability, you got legs, you can get up and walk. A lot of people can't. Did you exercise today? Are you managing your body right? Are you managing your diet right? Are you see, we all have blessings that we mismanage. All of us. Are you drinking too much alcohol? Are you not drinking enough water? Like, are you managing your temple? Are you managing your mind? God has blessed you with a brilliant mind. Do you spend time learning, educating yourself? Manage everything that you got while you have it. My mama used to say, if you don't use it, you lose it. Don't let God take your anointing from you because you mismanaging it, man. I love you guys. I'll see you guys on tomorrow's live stream. We here almost every single day live. So I hope that you guys was not just entertained, but I hope that you were informed and educated. And I hope that you learned something about yourself. And I hope that you guys take something from this and say, I got to work on that myself. And until the next live stream, God bless you guys. I'll see you guys next time. See you at the private live event on ulegend.com from stuck to 7 figures. God bless. See you guys next time.